Millions of sadhus are coming from all over. But just like Krishna says here, kaschin mameti tattvata, hardly among all these sadhus that one will see, hardly one knows Krishna in truth. The reason being, ashradadhana purusha, they do not have faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of, well, as I said, there's two classes. There are those who are striving for siddha. So they've taken to an austere spiritual path, and they're cultivating knowledge. They're studying Vedas, Upanishads, these esoteric texts. But they don't have faith in Krishna as being the Parabrahman, as being Ishwara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiyara Govinda Sarvakarna Karnam. Although he proclaims himself as such in this Gita, and they study this Gita. Prabhupada mentions Shankaracharya, who is the founder Acharya of the Mayavad, Advaita Vedanta. So he has established this Prashtantraya. There are three subject matters, if one wants to be a good Mayavadi. There are three areas of study. One has to study Upanishads, which are considered Vedanta literature. One has to study Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence of the Upanishads. And one must study the Gita Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita. So, like Buddha was speaking to sinful atheists and helping them out of their sinful condition, stopping animal sacrifices. Prabhupada said Buddhism, the Buddhist mission actually, the mission of the Buddha is to establish the four regulative principles. So, in this way, these atheists, they became somewhat purified due to the influence of Buddhism. And then Shankaracharya appeared. Lord Shiva took the form of Shankaracharya to lead them back to the Vedas. But they were still atheists. Buddhist philosophy is also a form of atheism. So, therefore, Shankaracharya, although he himself, being Lord Shiva's pure devotee of Krishna, he did not in his preaching establish bhakti. Rather, he was teaching these atheistic-minded people the path of nirvishesha, jnana, jnana yoga, by which realization of nirvishesha, impersonal Brahman, may be realized, and liberation may be attained. And this is the same goal as Buddhism. They want to become liberated. This is the siddha that's being mentioned in this verse. To be liberated. So this is still basically selfish affair. You see? This is the same basic selfishness that in another way is seen in the gross materialistic people who have no interest in siddha. This manushanam sahasreshu, the thousands and thousands of ordinary people, they're not inclined to give up their sense gratification and go after impersonal Brahman. They have no interest in that. But they have something fundamentally in common with the impersonalists, and that is selfishness. The impersonalists, they decorate it with very high-sounding words taken from the Vedas, slogans. Aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Aham, the I. Aham mameti, Srila Prabhupada says. These are two selfish conceptions. So when one is a little more advanced, when one can become a jnani, then his concern is aham, I. What am I? Aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman. And what is Brahman? Brahman is the absolute truth. Brahman is God. Therefore I am God. But this is in a very rarefied, refined, intellectual sense, you see, of realization. Whereas the gross materialists, they're also thinking they're God. But not as impersonal Brahman. Rather, God as the Purusha, enjoyer. They're thinking, I am the Purusha. Aham bogi. Ishwaro ham aham bogi. This is the demoniac mentality that Krishna describes in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. They're thinking, I am Ishwara. I am the controller, and I am bhogi. I am the enjoyer. This is also God conception. This is also selfishness. But in these gross materialists is manifested in a much more degraded way. So you see, this means both are materialists, actually. Just that the jnanis and yogis are frustrated materialists. But they're unable to give up the seed core of their materialism. Why? Ashradhana Purusha Dharmasya Parantapa. They do not have the requisite faith in Krishna. And why is that? Because they do not associate with the devotees of Krishna. They look down upon the devotees, as Prabhupada is saying here. They say the path, oh, that is easy. Just like you see in the Shankara Digbijay, which is the just like we have Chaitanya Charitamrita narrative of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Mayavadis have their Shankara Digbijay, which is the glories of Shankaracharya. So it is said that when Shankaracharya's mother was dying, she was laying on her deathbed, then although he was a sannyasi, he returned to see his mother, to be with his mother in her last moments. And so he came there. He was the powerful preacher of Advaita, defeating all the Buddhists, defeating all kinds of the Karma Mimamsakas, all the different philosophies. He was smashing and establishing his Advaita Vad. So he came to see his mother, and his mother, knowing that she was leaving her body, she asked her son, so you are great, you have become great sannyasi, preacher, everyone is bowing down to you, surrendering to you as the foremost man of knowledge. So I want you to kindly tell me, now that I am leaving my body, what shall I do to achieve the supreme destination? What is the best thing I can do? And so first Shankara began to speak about you must, you see, withdraw your senses from the sense objects and realize that this is all Maya, illusion, and you must contemplate on the formless self, which is one with the all-pervading Brahma. He was speaking like this, Mayavadi philosophy. And his mother interrupted him. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me these things. This is nothing I can follow. Look at me. I'm your mother and I am dying. Now you do something good for me. You are my son. You are sannyasi. You are a saintly person. So now you do something for me. I was your mother. I carried you in my womb for 9 months. I gave birth to you. I took care of you. Now I'm asking you to please benefit me. And this your talking will not help. So then Shankaracharya, he looked around and then he said, worship Krishna. So this is in the Shankara Digvijay. He told his mother, his own mother, when she asked him, you tell me the real, you see, the real beneficial knowledge, the real beneficial instruction. I'm your mother. I know you're preaching to all these other people, Buddhists, this, that. But I'm your mother, come on! And so, then he told her, worship Krishna. Remember Krishna. And that will be your secret. But you see, then the Mayavadis, like Prabhupada says, the Mayavadis, what does he write in this purport? He says that although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sripad Shankaracharya, is admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his followers do not accept Krishna as such. So the Mayavadis, they have their interpretation of this. That Shankaracharya's mother, she was a woman, less intelligent. So she needed something easy. So therefore he told her about Krishna Bhakti. But for us very intelligent jnanis, big-brained people, he has given us the higher truth of Mayavadi philosophy. So you see, this is the spin they put on this story. So this is an apt illustration of what Prabhupada is speaking about. But Shankaracharya has, and in his Bhajagovinda Mudhamate, very clear. But also they have their purport to that, to cover it up. No. Shankaracharya, he was not criticizing us, the Mayavadis. He was not criticizing the philosophy. He was speaking about those who are grammarians, who juggle Sanskrit. He was not speaking of the Advaitists. You see, this will be their reply. So he was telling them it's better for them, because they're on a lower platform, you see, to play around with words. That is also not actually real knowledge. So if you're on that platform, then you worship Govinda. But for us, the really wise ones, you see, this is the assumption, like I was saying in the beginning. As for devotees, it is not good to make such an assumption. I'm an advanced devotee. This is a serious mistake, a serious error. And we see how our acharyas are presenting themselves. You see? Because our process is avaroha panta. The mercy is coming down to us. Not that by big muscles, or big brain, I am going to, by my own power go up. This is aroha panta. This is their conception. And I am so highly qualified, big Brahmin, learned in so many scriptures, so I can get there myself under my own power. Big mistake. And Prabhupada, I may have mentioned here how Prabhupada, recently I was telling someone, that in 1975, December, in Vrindavan on a morning walk, Srila Prabhupada, in explaining this Sarvadharma, Prityaja mamekam sharanam broja verse, he was saying that Krishna is telling in this verse that your business is surrender to me. Your business is you surrender to me. You give yourself over to me. And as far as your liberation is concerned, your deliverance is concerned, that is my business. This is the meaning of this verse. That you put yourself in my hands, and I will deliver you. And this is the Charan Shloki of Bhagavad Gita, according to our previous acharyas. This is, Charan means tip-top, like peak of a mountain. So the whole Gita builds up to that verse. And that verse can be taken, you see, to the final conclusion of bhakti. Because this Sarvadharma Parityajya, this is seen in the gopis. They surrender to Krishna without any consideration of their own standing. When Krishna plays the flute, they leave their families, they leave their husbands. So they risk being condemned. The wives of the brahmanas, after their husbands refused to pay any attention to Krishna's friends, and when they heard Krishna's in the forest, they ran away from their home to join Krishna. And these are Brahmin women. That means, they're aristocratic in society, but they put that all at risk You see, if a woman just runs out of the house, just runs away from everything and goes out somewhere to meet some other man, strange man, some forest somewhere, then, of course, in modern times, I don't know, maybe they will just say, oh, women should be free. But at least in a traditional society, that's considered very, very severe transgression. And we see in the, of course, this is not Vaishnava behavior. Please don't take me wrong, but when we read works like the Panchatantra, which is stories of niti, presented in story form. So niti means appropriate behavior, especially in political realm, politics. So these stories are, presenting street level Indian culture or Vedic culture. You see, the way things were among ordinary people. So I remember reading in Panchatantra, one of these stories concerns a man who discovers that his wife has been cheating on him with another man. So it seems what I learned from there is that a common practice, a common thing that would be done was that the husband then, he would take a knife and he would cut his wife's nose off and throw her out of the house. So that's very extreme, to say the least. But this was that society then. It was considered so bad if a woman would commit adultery. So she would lose all standing in society. So this was what the gopis were risking. This is what the wives of the brahmanas were risking by going to Krishna. In fact, the wives of the brahmanas, this was their little doubt after they had met Krishna. And Krishna was so kind to them. He embraced them. He accepted them as his intimate devotees. Actually, he accepted their bhav as he accepts the bhav of the gopis. So they were so fortunate to be brought into this Madhura rasa with Krishna. So when the wives of the brahmanas were there, then they said to Krishna, now you are our shelter. How can we go back? You see, they were thinking, because they're Brahmin wives, they're very, very conscious of all these rules and regulations. So they're thinking, for you we have broken our social position. We have no more standing. If we were to go back, you see, it'd be very bad for us. So we beg you, Krishna, you just keep us with you. We will follow you wherever you go. We will serve you, but you keep us with you. And he said, no, you go back. And you don't worry. This is exactly what he's saying when he says, Sarvadhamma pratija, mamikam sharanam braj, aham tvam sarva papebyo mokshe shamyam asucha. You're fearing sin? You're fearing sin? Never mind. I will protect you. This is what he told the wives of the Brahmins. Don't fear. You go back. And when they went back, because of their association with Krishna, they were so effulgent. This is the same thing, you see. Prakashananda Saraswati, the Mayavadi, the leader of the Mayavadi, 60,000 disciples he had. They're all Mayavadis. They all want to become Brahman. And Brahman for them is Jyoti, light. So they're by their dry process trying to achieve this, oneness with the Brahma Jyoti. And then they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was so effulgent. Prabhupada comments, because these Mayavadis are attracted by Jyoti, therefore they were attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was so effulgent. And so they respected him. Although earlier they had been blaspheming him for being bhavuka, which means sentimentalist. But when they saw him, they saw his brilliance, they understood he is more advanced than us. And Prakasananda Saraswati, although Mahaprabhu was sitting in a low place, he with his own hand brought him and put him on a nice seat among the sannyasis, a seat of honor. So like that, when these wives of the Brahmanas returned to their homes, their husbands saw them. They were brilliant with the effulgence of Krishna consciousness. And these Brahmins, the husbands, they were all blackened by the smoke of their yajna. And they were feeling themselves unsuccessful just doing karmakanda rituals and, what's the point? And they said, to hell with our rituals, to hell with our learning, to hell with our brahmacharya, our years in the Gurukul, to hell with our whole Brahmin existence. So you see, it was such a reverse when you study this. It's a wonderful plot device, they would say. That the wives of the Brahmanas were worried that their social position would go to hell. And Krishna said, you don't worry about that, you go back. And the result was that their husbands, whom they were worried about, they were worried, what will our husbands say when we go back? The husbands condemned themselves to hell. You can hear, you see in Krishna book, they're saying, to hell with this, to hell with it, to hell with it. So they condemned themselves. Because they could realize by our ignoring Krishna, we have missed the opportunity to become perfect in our spiritual lives. So this is faith. This is faith in Krishna. This is the point. You see? And as Prabhupada is writing here, that when devotional service is executed as it is, yes, as it is handed down parampara system, then it is not easy. It is not easy for these people. These selfish people. Neither the gross materialists nor the impersonalists. Because they have to give up their selfishness. They have to surrender. And this is what they don't want to do. What does Krishna say about those who never surrender to him? What does he call them? He calls them dushkritina. And this Ashradhana Purusha, Tamashasha Parantapra, Aprapyamam Nivartamani. They never attain me. He's saying the same thing in that verse too. They never attain me. Mrityu samsara vartmani. Instead, all they attain is this world of birth and death. You see? So this is due, ashradhana, due to lack of faith. So this manushanam sahasrishu kaschid mam, this verse also, the gross materialistic people, ordinary class of people, they don't have faith in Krishna, and neither do the impersonalist intellectuals striving for Brahman realization. And so they must also fall down. They must also come back to this material world. So kaschin mameti tattva, very, very rare. Samahatma sadurlava, very rare to find one who knows Krishna. So getting back to this, yes, the comparison between these two verses, Ashradhana Purusha Dharmashasha Prantava and Manushanam Sahasreshu, that in this Ashradhana Purusha verse, Srila Prabhupada speaks of persons from the faithless class who join the Krishna consciousness movement. But they cannot stick to the process. Again, why? Because in the purport to today's verse, Srila Prabhupada says, actually bhakti is not easy. Well, it is easy, like Prabhupada said, it is simple for the simple. For those who are straightforward, who can surrender to Krishna, Who can, like Prabhupada, Prabhupada said in Vrindavan 75, Krishna says, you surrender to me and I will take care of your liberation. And Prabhupada went on to say, and if you think you can do it, if you think it is, no, I will do something for my liberation. And Prabhupada said, you're a rascal. Because this is what Krishna is saying, you just surrender to me. And never you mind. This is the whole point of this Gita. Arjuna is offering so many arguments and Krishna is cutting through them like a hot knife through butter. Coming to the point, you just surrender to me. And I will take care. Don't you worry about this and that, this and that, this and that. Because Krishna is God. This is what has to be accepted. Unless one has that faith that Krishna is God, then how you can surrender in this way? One, you see, to the degree that we don't have faith, then to that degree we're looking, over our shoulder. We're looking like, for our own security. Huh? What is that? Without egoism, without lethargy, and without being concerned for one's own position. You see, this is the meaning of pure devotional service. Not to take it up egotistically. I will become a big devotee by my great endeavors. Or not to be lazy and crazy, just coming to the temple because you don't, here you can eat, do a little service, sleep nicely, keep a roof over your head. And out there you have to work so hard. That's also not good. And it's also not good to be worried for one's position. To be in anxiety. You just, like Prabhupada said, a very interesting statement Srila Prabhupada said. He said to one of his disciples, don't try to become spiritually advanced. You just serve your spiritual master. This is the meaning of Sarvadharma Pratitya. Don't try by some own process, some concoction to enhance your devotional service in some way. Of course, your spiritual master may say do that. Then it's under the order of Guru. But what this means is, if one is doing that, one has one's Guru, one is receiving instruction, guidance from him, everything is there. But if one is thinking, still I have to add something, like His Holiness Hridayananda Maharaj remembers, he once decided to go on a program of eating less. So he was eating very little each day. And Prabhupada could notice that. So at first, Prabhupada didn't indicate that he was noticing that. And Hridayananda Maharaj was thinking, I'm being a real sannyasi, I'm austere and this and that. So he was walking with Srila Prabhupada back from morning walk in Los Angeles. And when they got to Prabhupada's door, then in the hallway outside, there was one radiator. And someone had left on the radiator a big plate of prasadam, a big, mountain of prasadam on a plate. You know how devotees are, it's right in front of Prabhupada's room, but someone left a big mountainous plate of prasadam there. So as Prabhupada came into the hallway to enter his room, he saw that. And he was looking at it, and of course everyone was thinking, oh, now there's going to be some lightning flashes. Prabhupada said, what is this nonsense? Who has put this here? What is this? But what Prabhupada did was, there were different devotees there, but he turned and he looked at Hridayananda Maharaj. And he said, eat that. So here was Maharaj, he had been fasting and eating very little, and he hadn't been telling anyone. But Prabhupada Prabhupada knew the whole program, and so he eat that. So this is the point. Don't try to become advanced by your own separate endeavor. Surrender to Guru, surrender to Krishna. Krishna is acting as Arjuna's Guru, and this is what he's telling. You surrender to me, and then I will take care. I will take care of your deliverance from this material world. Don't fear. Don't be in anxiety. Whether I'm advancing, whether I'm becoming purified, this, that. This is faith. That definition of faith also, that Shraddha Shabde, what is that? Anyway, there's this Bengali. That faith in Krishna means the conviction that by just serving the Lord, then all purposes will be accomplished in one stroke. There's no need to, yes, I serve Krishna, but there's this I have to also do, that, this to attend to, this, that, the other thing. Just serve Krishna and everything will be accomplished. This is how faith is defined. So to the degree that we lack this faith, then to that degree our progress is slowed down. To that degree we put ourselves in danger of falling down. You see? And it means to that degree we will be inclined to these other things mentioned in tonight's verse, the impersonalism or the gross materialism. Well, this is all in the nature of our faith. So adaushada, everything begins with that. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions? Yes?
If you look at the Vaishnava schools in India, then one of the most ancient schools is like the Sri Vaishnava school. They have a very strong seat in Ayodhya. I was saying, didn't Vaishnavism start in Ayodhya because it's very ancient? It's Treta Yuk, Ishwar Kumar, Ravi. Like, how did the other schools come up from South India? It seems that that's the most ancient.
Well, the sampradayas go back to this Sri Sampradaya goes back to goddess Lakshmi. So you see, this is the origin of these sampradayas is not to be calculated in terms of human history. The founder acharya of these sampradayas, it means they revived these sampradayas in the Kali Yuga. Because Kali Yuga, dislocates everything. And we find the clear, in our own sampradaya, we find it very clearly illustrated by Madhvacharya, who went to Uttara Bhadrakashram to meet Vyasadeva. And therefore, in our list of Sampradaya Acharyas, you see Brahma, Narada, Vyas, Madhva. That's a real jump. You see, it's a real leap. Because Brahma, Narada, Vyasadeva, he's 5,000 years ago. So sometimes people ask, how is it Madhva? He lived, 1100 AD, something like that. So how is he counted as disciple of Vyasadeva? But Vyasadeva is actually living still in Himalayas, the snowy mountain peaks above Bhadrakashram. Uttara Bhadrakashram means north of Badrinath. And so that is there in the history, how Madhvacharya went up there and his one disciple who came with him that far was trying to follow him but could not, and he was seeing his spiritual master was riding the wind because he is Vayu. Madhva, this is the so to speak esoteric understanding of Madhva's identity. That is, he is Mukhya Prana. So he is Vayu. So he was riding with the winds. It's very windy in the Himalaya region. So he was riding the wind from peak to peak, leaping, not, just gliding through the air from one mountain peak to the next, And this disciple, he had to give up. He was trying to follow his spirit. His spiritual master told his disciples, "You stay back, I am going." But one thought, let me go behind, see if my guru needs something. And he realized, I cannot follow. He's flying between the peaks. And so this way he disappeared from sight, and he met Srila Vyasadeva, and they discussed Shastra. And in this way, Madhvacharya was able to hear from Vyasadeva himself what is the purport of the Vedic literature. So, in this way, the Founderacharyas, Madhva, Ramanuja, Nimbarka, and Vishnu Swami, they have revived these ancient sampradayas in the Kali Yuga. So, Sri Sampradaya goes back to Goddess Lakshmi, one of the important texts of the Sri Sampradaya, because it is a very pancharatric sampradaya. We are too, Gaudiyas, very pancharatric. So one of their important texts is the Lakshmi Tantra. So this is Lakshmi Ji, Mahalakshmi speaking. And so she's describing the whole philosophy of service to the Lord and proper system of yajna and puja and the mantras that are used in puja and the whole thing that the Sri Vaishnavas are well known for, their elaborate puja ceremonies. They still do yajnas, they still chant Vedic mantras. So all these elements are explained by Goddess Mahalakshmi, and she is speaking to Indra. So this is in ancient, we're not talking world history here, we're talking universal history. So the Nimbarka Sampradaya goes back to the four Kumaras, and the Vishnu Swami or Vallabha Sampradaya goes back to Rudra, Lord Shiva. So these are ancient traditions that extend to the beginning of the world, beginning of the creation. But they were revived in Kali Yuga by these Sampradaya founder acharyas. Anything else? Yes?
You said everything starts with faith, but one of our gurus asked me, what is your faith based on? And I couldn't answer.
You couldn't answer.
I didn't know what to answer. Do you know what faith is based on?
Faith is based on or nurtured by association with devotees. You gain the seed of Shraddha, faith in Krishna, by some contact, however brief, lavamatra, even 1/11 of a second. It can be very indirect, but somehow or other we come in contact with the Lord's devotees. Somehow or other means perhaps by a book. Just like myself, I started to get faith in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra long before I knew that there was Srila Prabhupada, that there was an International Society for Krishna Consciousness. But Prabhupada had told this beatnik poet Allen Ginsberg, whenever you recite poetry, you should chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So he did that. And he made a recording of the chant, Hare Krishna mantra, according to his own tune. He made a recording of that, which came out in 1967. So the thing, this is Allen Ginsberg. He was a very degraded fellow, and the musicians he recorded with were similarly unmentionably degraded types of persons. But the order of Prabhupada was behind this, you see. So there was somewhere, there was that sangha, there was that association with Srila Prabhupada. So I remember, being a young, teenage person, that age, now and as then, teenagers are famously fond of music, collecting. Well, in those days there were record albums, but now it's CDs. From so many different groups. So I was like that. I had so much music from. And I used to like to find. My tastes in music were unusual. So I found out about this album recorded in New York, Allen Ginsberg chanting Hare Krishna. So I got that, and I used to listen to this again and again and again and again. And I started chanting myself, and I had no idea. I had no idea that this is the name of God. I had no idea that Krishna, who or what Krishna was. I had no idea that there was a Hare Krishna movement. But I just was attracted to this chanting of Hare Krishna. So, because he did that, Allen Ginsberg did that on the order of Srila Prabhupada, so there was some association. And similarly then, around that time too, later actually, then George Harrison's Radha Krishna Temple album came out, and that was much more direct. And by that time, actually that was my first hearing that. I became aware that there was some movement, there was something called Radha Krishna Temple, and there was some movement. So I became more interested. And this was also, you see, the order of Srila Prabhupada. So faith starts, or someone gets a book, or somehow or other, we come in contact with Vaishnava Sangha. And there the faith starts. And then it is nurtured, it develops by Sangha. You see? At first the contact, it will be, so to speak, accidental and maybe very indirect. But when we then seek out the association of devotees and regularize ourselves in that association, then the faith becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Yes?
I remember in a seminar some years back, Rabindra Swarupa was explaining that faith is an act of attraction. You're attracted to something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is it that we have faith something we're attracted to?
Well, it's certainly, you see, a human being is a creature of faith. Everyone has faith in something. And yes, that's true. In that which they have faith, they have attraction. Must be. Just like, relationship between two people. Two people become friends because they're attracted to each other and because they have faith in each other. They think, I can trust this. I would, of course I didn't hear what he said directly, but based on your comment, I would say that in faith, the element of attraction is there, but also the element of trust is there. So, you may be attracted. You may find someone physically attractive. I mean, that's just a sensual reaction. But like there may be some very beautiful woman she's physically very attractive, but if it is known that she's very disreputable person, not a good person, then seeing her beauty, one will feel attraction. That's natural. That's the senses. You see, the senses will tug our consciousness in that direction. But if you know that you can't trust this person, then you're not going to enter into a relationship. You're not going to have faith in that person. So there's an attraction, like in friendship, when people become friends. There's the element of attraction, they like one another, but they trust one another. That's what really makes friends. You see, that here's a person I can talk, I can reveal what's in my heart to this person. And this person will listen to me and not laugh at me and not, as soon as I leave, get on the phone, hey, you know what I just heard? Spread it all over town. You see, that's what I mean. Like a woman may be beautiful, but if she's known to be a gossip, then who's going to be her friend? You see, if she's that type of woman. Anything she hears, she's immediately. And you're not going to, talk to her about anything that's confidentially important to you, because she's just going to put it out on the street. So I would say attraction plus trust. This is faith. All right, then let's stop here. So tomorrow we have a program. Is it not?
Yes.
And what time do we have to be here?